Hi guys, good morning. It's 4 a.m. and I just woke up and I'm so sick, like my head hurts and I have a blocked nose, like my this nose is blocked and this one is open and I smell like Vicks and my hair is disgusting. Like I washed it yesterday. I don't know what is wrong, but you know what? I promised you guys a vlog. So here's a vlog. It's like 4 a.m. Hi. You thought I disappeared? Well, too bad you cannot escape my yapping. We have a very mysterious setup today. As you read by the title, it's not clickbait. It's real and this lighting is not working. Okay. I finally look like this lighting? This looked like I was gonna say something like a horror podcast or something, but like there you go. And my hair is not cooperating because it's still wet. I was gonna wait until it dried, but then I'm a very impatient person, so hi guys, welcome back to another video after 2 weeks because something very traumatic happened to me and I'm fine for some reason. Sorry. But the clip that you guys saw at the beginning of the video was actually a clip of a vlog that I was supposed to, I was very much supposed to upload 2 weeks ago. And it was of a road trip, which unfortunately we couldn't make it to, like the destination. And I am not even exaggerating when I said that I almost got unalived or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna get into that today and it's little graphic, so trigger warning for someone who has probably been in a car accident or witnessed it, or I don't know, is just very triggered by car accidents in general because this is a very real story and I'm gonna be getting into detail. When I mean it, I mean it. So the story begins, I think this was about a month ago. Like I had my pre-boards going, so my parents were like, we should do a road trip after your pre-boards, because after that it's gonna be boards and we won't be able to go anywhere, so it's gonna be like a little weekend getaway trip or whatever. And so we were like, okay, fine, that's fine. So now I have this uncle and this aunt and we go on road trips with them pretty often, like really often. And it's like they literally live very close, like I think 3 or 4 buildings down. And like he's like my favorite uncle and my hair is not cooperating, oh my god, whatever. So we go on road trips with them pretty often and it's pretty nice. So it's usually just his car because two families can just fit into his car, but this time we had 3 families and we're like, okay, 2 cars, we'll just we'll sit in, like we'll see who sits in whose car. Everyone is familiar to each other, so we were just like, okay, we'll figure out the seating arrangements. And so then the day of the road trip came, as you saw, like the whole vlog, like we were all having fun, like we set out at like 4 a.m. in the morning and it was going all good, like it was very fun. So at first in the car, so it was like me, the other, like no, my uncle and auntie. So there were 2 cars, my uncle's car and then there was my dad's car. And the first half, not the first half, like the first trip was at 4 a.m. and in my dad's car it was my mom, the other family's wife and the husband, and in my uncle's car it was my uncle, my uncle's wife, and it was me and the other family's daughter. And don't mind the notification, I'm sorry. And it was going good and then we stopped at a place to eat breakfast. Like I was eating like shit, I ate so much, and we were talking and we were eating and it was very nice. Like I'm pretty sure just the clips popped up or whatever, but like yeah. So then my dad's car, where my mom and the other family's husband and wife were, they were like a little late because they kind of took a wrong turn, so then they joined us as well and we ate a lot of food. And so after that we switched up the seating arrangement a little because the other family's daughter, who I'm friends with, I'm just gonna put a clip of her somewhere right here. She is car sick, like she has a really bad car sickness, and she kept wanting to roll the windows down because she was feeling very sick or whatever. So she was like, I would like to go, I would like to go at like, I would like to, because my uncle, he's like, he cannot turn. Oh my god, the lighting is so harsh. Okay, my uncle was like, he cannot have the windows down for too long. Like he did put it down for a while at the first half of the trip. Oh my god, my head is looking so bad. Oh god, ew. But like he did put it down for the first half of the trip because she was feeling sick, and we did stop also the first half of the trip because she was feeling sick. So she was like, no, I think I'll be more comfortable like going, in my dad's car. Like she said that. So then she went in that car, and in my uncle's car it was me, mom, like mom came to that car. So me, mom, uncle driving, and uncle's wife. So here's the seating thing, okay? Just like imagine like there's a driver's seat, obviously. Driver's seat, the in the back seat behind the driver's seat, that's where my mom is sitting. The front passenger seat, that's where my auntie is sitting. And then I'm sitting behind the front passenger seat in the back seat. That's where right, you get the point. So we were driving, and after that we decided like, okay, my father calls and he's like, I need to use the washroom. It's like, I think that's like at least like an hour or two after this whole breakfast thing, and he's like, I need to use the washroom, so plus look for a place so we can stop and we can drink tea, because Indian families and tea is a huge thing, especially during road trips. So then after that we stopped at another place and we had coffee, tea, or whatever, and I ate a second breakfast. Don't judge me, everyone did. And yeah, I ate a second breakfast. It was like 2 small sandwiches, and after that we got into the car, and I was like this time I was like, in my uncle's car again. I asked my aunt, like, is it okay if I sit in the front passenger seat? Because in my dad's car, whenever I travel somewhere, it's like I take the front seat. I don't even let my mom sit in the front seat. I know I sound like a very brat person, but like, okay, whatever, I just like the front seat. And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever, I don't mind. So then the seating got switched to me being in the front passenger seat, my mother being in the seat behind me, like in the back seat left seat, and my uncle was driving obviously on the right side, and then my aunt was in the right back seat. So everything is going good, we're driving, and like in my father's car, there's the other family, like the whole other family, the husband, wife, and the daughter, like my friend. And we're like, okay, we're driving, and my father, and like, my father's car is like just like a little bit behind us, like 100-200 meters behind us. And we're driving, it's like my mom and my aunt, they're talking about getting their hair colored after this trip. And like me and my uncle were talking about like, the song which was going on the radio, because you don't know, but like I am a classical dancer, so it was a really pretty song. So I'm like, okay, maybe I want to choreograph it, maybe I want to make a cover out of it, and we were talking about that. And then suddenly, so we're like about 30 kilometers away from the destination, like where we're supposed to go. We're like 30 kilometers away, and it would have taken us like 30 to 45 minutes in itself to reach the destination. So it's like a highway, okay, like it's a road on one side, and then there's a divider, and then there's a road on the other side, and then on that side, like on the side of the like the left side of the road, left side of the road, there's like, after the road ends, there's like a little ditch kind of area, like a little ditch area. So we're driving, and then the last thing I remember is that the speed being like, I think 100 to 105 kilometer per hour, like right, sorry. So then like basically the last thing I remember was like there's like a truck, and there were like orange cones on the road or whatever, and my uncle was like, he tried to swerve the truck, and he did successfully swerve the truck. It was fine. But then I remember, like, I think he lost control of the wheel because the car sped up a little too much. Like, I remember the speed being like 100 to 105 kilometers per hour, and that is a very, very high speed actually. And then the car just overturned, and then it overturned like twice. It hit the divider, it like tumbled on top of the divider, and then it rolled over like twice again, and then it just stopped, like it stood up, but it was like obviously all shattered and everything. And well, it was like, wait, it's like a picture I took, like at that moment when I was the one who was the most less injured. My aunt, like I look to my right and I see my uncle, he's like this, and he has like a little bit of blood dripping down his like head. I look in the back, my auntie is like, she's bleeding profusely, she's like, the blood is like all the way over here. I cannot see my mom, like my mom's head is like over there and her feet are up on the dashboard, and I'm just like freaking out at that point. I'm like, I take off my seatbelt, and the uncle, like the other family's uncle from that car, my dad's car, my dad's driving, so he cannot, like, you know, right. So wherever I was, yeah. So the other uncle from the other family came out, and he like Loki like not Loki, he did rescue us. Like, I was seatbelt tied in, so I was like, okay, I was not injured at all. I had like pieces of glass. The pieces of glass, they were like in my. I had like a few pieces of glass in my foot, and like I said, I could not see my mom. So like the first instinct of mine was like scream. So I like started screaming, "Mama!" And like, because I was really worried. I was like, "Oh my god, is my mother alive?" That was like my first thing. Like, is my mom alive? And then she got up and she's like, "What happened?" And then she saw everything, and then she just like rushed to help them out. But then she got like internal injuries as well. So then I looked for my phone. My phone is completely fine. Like, there's like cracks, as you can see, there's like cracks or whatever, but my phone is completely fine somehow. My glasses are also completely fine. Everything like flew. Like, when that card thing happened, everything flew, and I was like, oh my god, what happened to my phone? What happened to my glasses? My first priority was my mother. My second priority was my phone. Cannot live without it. Anyways, I could die, but I would like to save my phone. Anyways, so then after that, like I gathered my phone, I gathered my stuff, and oh my god, my aunt, she was like bleeding like from here. My uncle, he had like in places of his scalp, he had like the skin totally like gone from his scalp. Like, he was scalped in like different places throughout his scalp, and I was just traumatized because I was shaking, I was crying, I was like trying to, I was at that moment, I was hugging anybody I could get, random people on the road. I'm like, oh my god, I'm bitch, like, sorry, oh my god, I'm alive. So like, at that point I was like, okay, whatever. And then there were police cars, like local police, and they were like, we need to get you to a local hospital like immediately. We need to get you to like a local hospital immediately for first aid. And we're like, okay, fine. So my mother, she had no external injuries, no bleeding or anything, so they were like, you and your mom get in our car, because we will do a little bit of rough driving or whatever. And my dad took my uncle and aunt in his car, and the other family, they were like, we're just gonna gather whatever stuff they have back here, like purses, phones, whatever, and we're gonna catch an Uber, and we're just gonna get there, so don't worry about us. So yeah, so we kind of left them. We had to. My dad kind of got my uncle and my aunt in his car, and the police car was driving me and my mom to the local hospital, and they were just following us. And eventually we reached the hospital. Like, when we reached the hospital, everything was like starting to make sense to me. Like, I called my friends. I was like, I just got into an accident, I'm alive. And they were like, are you okay? You just got into an accident. Like, are you kidding? And I'm like, I'm not kidding. I'm literally not kidding. And in that traumatized state where I was like shaking, I was like, I need to get a picture. I need to click a picture of this car, because like, what if they need evidence? See, I'm such a smart person. Anyways, I was like, what if they need, I don't know, what if they need the picture for something, I don't know. So I was like, okay, I clicked a picture. Like, it's not a good picture, like you saw. Like, it's not the best picture, anyways. But like, after that, I sent it to my friends. I'm like, see, I'm talking, what I'm talking about, it's real, like, And then after that, over there, my aunt had to get like 15 stitches. My uncle, they bandaged his head because he didn't have to get stitches. My mom, when she came in, she like immediately she started puking because of the internal trauma, and they just like kind of took out the glasses from my foot, and then we got my uncle and aunt an ambulance. Because okay, so it was a very small hospital, so they were like, these people need a CT scan, they need this, they need that, and if you want to do it from here, we don't have the infrastructure for that. So to get it done here, you will need to admit them here, and then we need to drive them to a very far more hospital to get the CT scan and shit done, and then we're gonna bring them back here. And my father was like, hell to the no. He was like, no, can you arrange an ambulance for Kolkata? And they were like, yeah. So like, do that. Why will we stay in a local hospital which has zero hygiene, zero infrastructure, when I can like put them in a way better hospital in Kolkata? And they were like, okay, fine. So my uncle and aunt, they were obviously more severe cases, because my aunt's head was literally open and they stitched it, and my uncle was obviously, he was also pretty badly beaten up. Not beaten up, like, you get the meaning. My mom, most likely to them at that point of time, they thought it was a concussion, so they were like, she is not that serious, like not that serious at the moment, So if possible, just take her in a car, because the ambulance they provided was not that big as well. So it was like you can only accommodate two people comfortably to the hospital, and they were like these two because they are more severe. So then in the car, they put my mom in the front seat, and they took the IV drip or whatever, and they tied it to the handle of the back seat. um and it was like a 3-hour drive from here to there, and the PTSD was so bad because like after the car accident we had to immediately go back into my dad's car. Like me and my mom, we both knew like, oh, it's my dad driving, there's like nothing that could happen because we trust, obviously it's my dad, we trust him with everything. But it was such bad PTSD. My mom was like, I don't want to sit in a car anymore. My dad was like, how else am I supposed to get you to the hospital? And you kind of have to get over this fear. And like even I was scared at that point. I was like, so in my dad's car at that point, in the back seat it was the other family's wife, the daughter, me, and in the front seat it was my mom and my dad driving, ambulance, the other family's husband, the one who got us out of that car, and my uncle and aunt, injured people in the ambulance. And I was like, I remember, I was so anxious sitting in that car at that moment, because I was like, literally an hour ago, I was in a car accident. So obviously, I was like scared. I was like, oh my god, what if the same thing happens? So every time my dad's cars picked up a little speed, or stopped at a red light, or the car jerked a little, I was like, I remember I was holding that other family's daughter hand. Just like, it was so tight. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die again. This time it's gonna overturn. I'm gonna die. The car's gonna blast. Everything, blah blah blah. And my mom, oh god, so we had to keep my mom awake, because she was like, she was injured internally. So every time, like every 15 minutes, she was like this, she was like going like this, and we're like, mom, stay awake, we're gonna reach. And we got, like, after 3 excruciating hours, we got to one of the finest hospitals in Kolkata. Like, my dad trusts this hospital with his whole heart. Okay, whatever happens in the family, this hospital, we have to go to this hospital. So then we got them into emergency. They also got me into emergency. I didn't need it, but they still got me into emergency. Like, my mom, they put a collar around my mom's neck, and they got her the painkillers. They put IV drips and whatever on my uncle and aunt as well. And the car that the accident happened in, that car was taken to the local police station. Like, it was submitted there. And like, yeah, over the time, it, or like at that day, I convinced my father to stay with my mom for the next few days, because my mother is the kind of person who's like, I can do this alone, I can do this by myself. She's an overly independent person. And sometimes, even when she does need the dependence, she will like not take it, because she just wants to prove to people like, oh, I'm so independent. Okay, but then it's like, she does need the dependence. She's human at the end of the day. So I'm like, I know mom will never ask you, like, my mother at that point of time, even then, like, she was telling my father, go home. And I'm like, you are not going anywhere with this woman. Like, without this woman, like, you're not leaving her here. Because I had like a kidney stone back in March of this year, and I stayed in that hospital. It's a very good hospital, okay, very nice staff or whatever, but I know for a fact my mother would have not been able to sleep that night in that big, empty, dark room, surrounded by nothing but like silence. Okay, I knew my mother could not have done that. Even if she was saying I could. She says I could in everything. But like, then I was like, stay with her. And I have a cousin, my cousin sister, who lives like literally, I think, 10 minutes away from the hospital. So I called her, and she was like, you know what, feel free to come over and stay the night, like, So my dad was like, okay. So then he dropped me there, and I stayed there for the night. And like, the next day I went to see my mother. My uncle was in the ICU, like, so was my aunt, for like 2 days. And then they moved my uncle and aunt to a normal bed. My mom, her ribs broke, like, she's still healing from it. My aunt, she got her pelvic bone broken, I suppose. Yeah, and she had spinal injuries, and her ribs also got broken. So right now she's on bed rest, like she cannot even get up. She's not allowed to get up. She has to like keep laying down straight for like 6 weeks. Like, she cannot get up to poop, pee, anything. Like, they had to put like an attendant, because she had to poop and pee or whatever in the bed itself, like in the bedpan or whatever. My uncle had to get a little surgery, because his C5 spinal got dislocated, so they had to fix it or whatever, because when the car accident happened, the roof of the car literally collapsed on him and he was like this, because the roof of the car was like here. So because of that, his C5 spinal got dislocated, so he had to get like a minor surgery where they just put metals in or whatever, and they just like fix the thing. He got his ribs broken as well, and he had a collarbone injury, so he has a big fat collar right now, like like a collar bandit or whatever. And so like after a week, so then like after that, I went to my grandma's, like my mom's mom. I went to my grandma and my grandpa's, and I stayed there for like 5 days. And then my mom came to my grandpa. So then my mom came and she stayed for a week. My uncle and my aunt is at one of her cousins' place. Her cousin is a doctor, and yeah, like my uncle is back home. He's like 4 buildings down or whatever. And after a week, my mom is home. She's like literally sleeping right over there. Like, I'm not letting her sleep because I'm talking continuously. But my mom is like trying to sleep over there. She has come back home and she is taking the life out of me and my father, because now she's become the overly independent woman she is again. I can do this, I can do that, I can clean this, blah blah blah. And my father is like, you are not gonna stay here. I cannot keep you here. You will go back to your mother's place. And she's like, no, I won't. No, I won't go there. And we're just trying to get her there. So coming to the real part, why the car just suddenly started to like tumble or whatever, it's because from what we got to know, that the car in the morning when my father and my uncle went to get their cars petrol filled and get the tires filled or whatever, the people who were filling my uncle's tire, they overfilled the tires, like with the gas or whatever. I don't know what they do to fill the tire with. I know I sound like a very dumb person. Anyways, so they overfilled the tires and the tires were already like pretty stiff. And so as my uncle was driving, when he picked up the speed on the highway a little, there was, I think, a nail or something, like a tuk tuk tuk, that nail or whatever, and it basically burst the tire, and that basically resulted in the car to disbalance. And it was overall a very traumatic thing, but everyone is fine. My auntie is still bedridden for like the next 4 weeks, but everyone is fine and I'm fine. So that's why you guys did not get your vlog, and that's how I almost died. So that's all for today. I hope you guys are safe, and I love you guys so much. I'm sorry for being inconsistent for 2 weeks, but I was not in the mental state to record or talk about this. I was not ready yet. But yeah, my PTSD is way lower, but it's still there. But anyways, that was all for today. I love you guys so much. Make sure to leave a like and comment down below anything you want. I don't know, I don't care. And make sure to follow my Insta page. So if you have your stories, write me over there. And yeah, that's it for today. Bye.